One of the biggest reasons autism gets missed is because people are still looking for outdated stereotypes. Parents often think, my child talks well, they make eye contact, they have friends, they are affectionate, they're intelligent, so they assume it cannot be autism. But autism doesn't always look the way people expect. I'm Ibrahim, a licensed nurse practitioner and registered psychotherapist, and this is something we see very frequently in assessments, especially in bright children with more subtle presentations. And honestly, this confuses family for years sometimes, because many children do not fit the stereotypical image people see online. Here is where people get autism wrong. Autism is not simply a lack of speech, a lack of intelligence, a lack of emotion, or a lack of eye contact. Some autistic children are extremely verbal, some are highly affectionate, some make very strong eye contact, some do very well academically, and many become extremely skilled at masking socially. Especially intelligent children. Masking basically means the child is consciously or unconsciously learning how to imitate social behavior in order to fit in better. And sometimes they do this so well that adults miss how exhausted they are internally. This is why autism can look very subtle, especially in children who are bright, verbal, or highly observant. Parents often notice signs long before other people do. Not necessarily obvious signs, but patterns, things that feel different. For example, the child may become extremely distressed by transitions, or rigid around routines, or intensely focused on specific interests, or emotionally overwhelmed by sensory input. Some children become very upset by clothing textures, noise, crowds, certain foods, unexpected changes, or social unpredictability. Others struggle socially in more subtle ways. For example, they may talk at people instead of with people, or dominate conversations around favorite topics, or struggle reading group dynamics, or sound socially mature but still miss subtle emotional cues. And this is where things become complicated diagnostically, because autism can overlap with ADHD, anxiety, sensory processing difficulties, or emotional dysregulation, which is why proper assessment requires nuance. This is the part nobody talks about enough. Some autistic children spend enormous energy trying to appear normal, and eventually that becomes exhausting, especially socially. Parents may notice shutdowns after school, social fatigue, emotional overload, irritability, or complete collapse after busy environments. And because the child may appear fine externally, people dismiss concerns. This creates huge frustration for families because the parents often know something deeper is happening, even if they can't fully explain it. And unfortunately, many families delay assessment because the child doesn't match stereotypes. But autism is a spectrum for a reason. There is no single presentation. And some children become very good at compensating early on, especially girls, highly verbal children, and intelligent children. This is also why differential diagnosis matters so much, because not every socially anxious or emotionally dysregulated child is autistic, but not every autistic child looks obviously autistic either. That nuance is important, and proper assessments look at patterns across social communication, behavior, sensory experiences, regulation, rigidity, adaptive functioning, and developmental history, not just one visible behavior. At Crocus Care Solutions, we approach these assessments in a structured and nuanced way because subtle presentations are often the ones that get misunderstood the longest. And for many families, finally understanding why their child experiences the world differently can completely change how they approach support, school, parenting, and emotional regulation moving forward. If you would like to have your child assessed, please go to links.crocuscare.ca. The link is also in bio, and schedule a brief consultation, a 30-minute consultation, or a full neurodevelopmental assessment.